I didn't get an opportunity to make a video about this story, and I know it's pretty late, but the updates just kept pouring in, and one reason why I'm doing the video now is because of the latest update has come through about the story. So I'm gonna pretty much start from the beginning. So in this picture, you see a man by the name of Michael J. Reynolds, and he is now a former, well, maybe NYPD police officer. And one day, I believe it was last year or maybe a few months ago, he went down to Tennessee. I believe it was in Memphis, Tennessee, in which he was attending a bachelor party for one of his friends that was set to get married. So all of a sudden he's there and everything like that. And he is so drunk out of his mind that he ends up going into the wrong house, quote unquote, busting up into this house where this black woman was with her sons, and starts saying all types of racist and obscene things to her. And luckily for her, that this man did not have his weapon on him, because it could have turned into another Amber Geiger situation. Like, that's what immediately came to mind when all of this happened, is Amber Geiger and what she did, involving Botham Jean. Or it could have been another incident like a Tatiana Jefferson, where she got shot from outside the home from this pig. But anyway, he bust into her house, started saying obscene things to her, making threats and everything. Like, it was all recorded and everything. Like, you can go online and you can actually hear the audio for yourself, what he was saying to her. But anyway, they found out about it, the NYPD, and he ended up being arrested and charged. And what he got hit as far as charges go should have sent him away for a few years. But you know how this story usually goes out. It never goes the way that it should. This man only spent 15 days in jail for breaking into this woman's house who he had no right to be in, and making racial threats to her and basically threatening her life while her kids were there. This is why I'm all for protecting yourself. Ladies out there, I keep telling y'all need to have your firearm, because you never know what may actually happen. They're basically showing you that even in your own house, you are not safe. But he got sentenced to 15 days in jail. 15. And I guess they felt that that was the most they could do as far as a punishment for this guy. Fast forward to the recent update that just came out today on January 2nd. Michael J. Reynolds has now resigned from the NYPD. Mind you, he did all of that, was arrested, sent to jail, even if it was only for 2 weeks. And he was never fired. Never fired. As a matter of fact, when he was done his time, his 2 measly weeks, he was back on the job. He was never fired. They probably just took him off of whatever he was doing and probably put him on desk duty. But he just recently resigned, which means he was not fired and he can still collect his pension. And he will most likely slip in the back door to another precinct. Just like I did that video recently about the cop who wrote that so-called threatening note, whatever you want to call it, on that coffee cup from McDonald's. He wasn't fired. He just resigned, and we never found out who he was, his name, face, none of that. And this one right here is no different. They're telling you. They're telling you through their actions what's going on, that they can break and enter into your house and get away with it and possibly kill you. Amber Geiger was this close to walking away completely scot-free. Hell, with the display that family gave to her in that courtroom, they might as well let her walk. But it was too much stuff against her to just let her simply walk. But 10 years is a slap on the wrist regardless for breaking and entering and murder. But this man broke into that woman's house, drunk and intoxicated, Public drunkenness should have been a charge if it wasn't one. Breaking and entering is definitely another charge. Making threats, definitely a charge. And he only got 2 weeks. And went right back to work and just recently resigned. Now I'm going to go ahead and read this article and see what else they're talking about. A palm-colored officer who literally looks like a goddamn big toe with the New York City Police Department, who broke into a black woman's home in Tennessee and threatened her and her sons with the racist slur, has resigned from the force. And the thing is, they allowed him to do it. Okay, so this did happen last year. Not last year, in 2018. Excuse me. I forget. It's 2020 now. You got to get in that mode. So it's been 2 years now. Michael J. Reynolds, who was on modified duty status subject to an investigation of the incident, was informed Monday that he was to report to police headquarters so the NYPD could begin its disciplinary case against him Thursday, the agency said in a statement. Notice it said he was on modified duty status. The key word there is modified, which means he was still there. He was still working. He just wasn't on full time. It was almost like he was working part time. Instead, the NYPD said Reynolds quit effective immediately. Basically, he quit before they could fire him, because he knows if they fired him, that would have messed up his pension, and it would have ruined his chances of getting with another precinct in that department, another department, anywhere in the establishment. He will receive no pension or health benefits, nor will he be allowed to carry a firearm. Okay, well, that's interesting to know, that he will not be able to collect on that pension or carry that firearm, so they say. Reynolds was in Tennessee with 2 other police officers who have not been identified in July 2018 for a bachelor party. He forced his way into a home, doors away from the Airbnb that he and several other men, including the 2 other officers, had rented, where Kenice Halliburton lived with her children. Video surveillance taken from a neighbor security camera captured Reynolds threatening the family using racial slurs. "I'll break every effing bone in your effing neck," Reynolds said in a rant. He can also be heard calling the victims effing N-words. Reynolds left only after Halliburton said police were nearby. Last month, Reynolds was sentenced to 15 days in jail and 3 years probation after pleading no contest to 1 count of aggravated criminal trespassing and 3 counts of assault. Now, mind you, this happened in July 2018, and he just got sentenced to a measly 2 weeks and 3 years probation at the end of 2019. Slap on the wrist. Halliburton had called on the NYPD to fire Reynolds. Michael Reynolds is a violent and dangerous racist who has no business carrying either a badge or a gun, her attorney Daniel Horowitz said in an email. Ms. Halliburton wants the NYPD to fire him immediately so that he can't hurt anyone else, and we are all frankly dumbfounded that has not happened already. I'm not dumbfounded it hasn't happened already. It doesn't shock me that it didn't happen soon enough. It would only shock me if they would have fired him immediately after the fact. But the fact of the matter is, from July 2018 up until now, this man was still employed by the NYPD. What does that sound like? Daniel Pantaleo. That man was still working with the NYPD up until August of last year. So you talk about he killed Eric Garner in 2014. He's been on there for 5 years after the fact. And they just fired him in August. That's how they protect themselves. That's that code right there. That's that blue wall of silence right there. And it's a very high and thick wall. Good luck penetrating it. More than 12,000 people signed a petition advocating that he be fired, and on Wednesday, a group of protesters and activists gathered in New York to demand accountability from the city's police department. Halliburton, through her attorney, said Wednesday she deeply appreciated the outpouring support that she received from people across the country who agreed that Michael Reynolds needs to be fired and should no longer be able to work as a police officer. Well, they should, like they said, they should have got on that a whole lot sooner. Like I said, they allowed that man to continue working there over a year, well over a year after the incident initially happened. But that shocks absolutely no one. Like I said, just think about what happened with Daniel Pantaleo. On for 5 years after he killed Eric Garner. still collecting a check. And the only reason they just now fired him now is because they're getting so much pushback from her and the attorney in that petition. And so the thing is, it's a shame that it takes a push from the people for stuff like this to actually happen, instead of something like a light bulb clicking off and say, hey, this guy is toxic. He should not be in the department after what he did. Why would we keep someone on knowing what they did and not fire them immediately? Oh, I know why. Because it didn't really get a lot of media attention until recently. They will wait until the media gets a hold of it, and then that's when they want to make a move, and then try to act like they didn't know what was going on. They are so full of it. But this guy will just float himself to another department. He probably won't go anywhere near where he was at. Now they say that he cannot collect a pension, or he can't carry carry a firearm, but we'll see about that. Or is he going to start putting some kind of pity announcements out there like Daniel Pantaleo did, saying that he can't find work? He needs the money. Well, the thing is, not a lot of people caught on to this case like that happened with Eric Garner. So he's not going to get a huge outpour of support like a GoFundMe or something like that, because a lot of people weren't aware of this story. Hell, I wasn't aware of it until last month when this first happened. And here I'm thinking it happened earlier this year and it was a story that just slipped through the cracks. But it turns out that it happened well over a year prior, in the summer of that year. I wonder why they kept that under wraps. Y'all let me know what y'all think, and I'll talk to you in the next one.